Let me ask you something. What would a year off actually cost you? Not in the vague, hand wavy way that makes you dismiss the idea, but in real dollars you could actually plan for. Here's what I see. Most Bay Area tech professionals never run that number. The idea of a sabbatical shows up somewhere around the third hard quarter in a row. It gets labeled a fantasy for people with family money, and then it gets shelved. The salary is too good to walk away from, the equity is always mid-vest, and stepping off the treadmill just feels reckless. So the idea dies before anyone does the math. So here's a reframe I want you to sit with. A sabbatical is not a luxury reserved for the independently wealthy. It is a financial event, the same as buying a house or funding a kid's education. And like any financial event, it can be priced, it can be scheduled, and it can be paid for. The people who take deliberate career breaks are usually not richer than you. They just treated it as a plan instead of a daydream. So today I'm going to walk through how to price the true cost of a sabbatical, how to time it around your equity so you do not torch money on the way out, how to fund the gap, and how to use the low income year itself as a tax advantage. Let's get into it. The first mistake people make is sizing sabbatical by their gross salary, and that makes it look impossibly expensive. The real cost is smaller and a lot more specific. So start with what your income actually nets you after tax, because a high Bay Area salary is taxed at a top marginal rate, and the take-home is a lot less than the headline number. Then subtract the costs that pause when you stop working, commuting, some childcare, all that work-adjacent spending that quietly adds up. What is left is your true monthly burn during the break, and it is usually well below what people are afraid of. Then add the things that only show up when the paycheck stops. Health insurance is the big one because your employer coverage ends and you replace it with COBRA or a marketplace plan. Both cost more out of pocket than the version you would subsidize through work. And build in a reentry buffer, a few months of expenses to cover the job search on the way back, because returning is part of the plan, not an afterthought. Add all of that up and you get a single concrete number, and that number is the entire point. Because a sabbatical you can price is a sabbatical you can fund. Now, for tech employees, when you leave matters just as much as whether you leave. Here's why. Unvested RSUs and options usually disappear the moment you walk out the door. So the wrong departure date can quietly cost you more than the entire sabbatical. So pull up your vest schedule before you pick a start date. A cliff or a large tranche that is just a few months out can be worth more than a big chunk of the year you were trying to fund, which means waiting a single quarter can change the whole equation. There is no prize for leaving the week before a vest. Your exit date is a lever, and timing it well can effectively pay for a meaningful slice of your time off. And the equity you already hold is part of the funding too. A planned break is a natural moment to trim a concentrated position and turn it into the cash that carries you through. I've made the case before that holding a concentrated stock position is not a strategy. And done deliberately, ideally in the low-income year of the break itself, selling some of that stock can fund the sabbatical and reduce your risk at the very same time. Once you know the number and you know the timing, funding it becomes a simple savings problem with a deadline. Decide when you want the break, divide the total cost by the number of months between now and then, and that is your monthly target. Seeing it as a fixed, finite goal is exactly what turns a someday wish into a date on the calendar. And the most efficient fuel for that fund is the lumpy equity income most tech employees already have. So instead of letting your vesting RSUs and your bonuses dissolve into lifestyle, route a defined share of them straight into a dedicated sabbatical fund, held in safe, accessible assets. This is the same move I described for any deliberate transition. You build the cash bridge on purpose while the income is still flowing, because it is so much easier to set aside a few vests in advance than to wish you had once the paychecks have stopped. A household that already saves at a high rate can often fund a meaningful break faster than it expects, precisely because the equity does the heavy lifting. Okay, this is the part almost nobody plans for, and it is where a sabbatical can quietly pay you back. A year with little or no earned income is one of the most valuable tax windows you will ever get, and most people completely waste it. When your income drops, you fall into lower tax brackets, and that opens up moves that are simply too expensive in your peak earning years. Realizing long-term capital gains can get dramatically cheaper. In a low enough year, a portion can even be taxed at a very low rate, which makes the break an ideal time to finally diversify a concentrated stock. That same low income window is also often the best time to convert traditional retirement savings into a Roth at a reduced tax cost. These are the same bracket dynamics that punish dual income households in normal years, running it in reverse for once. So plan the break as a tax event, not just a spending one. Coordinate which gains you realize, decide whether a Roth conversion makes sense, and sort out how you bridge health insurance. Do that, and the year off can actually lower your lifetime tax bill instead of just pausing your income. The exact thresholds and rates shift from year to year, so this deserves a real projection. But the principle holds. A deliberate low-income year is a planning opportunity, not just a gap to survive. So here's the bottom line. A sabbatical is not a fantasy for people with generational wealth. It is a financial event you can price, schedule, and fund like any other. Calculate the true after-tax cost, time your exit around your vests so you do not forfeit equity on the way out. Build the cash bridge from the income you already earn, and use the low-income year as the tax opportunity it actually is. Do that, and a year to breathe stops being reckless. It becomes exactly what it should be, a deliberate decision that you planned for and earned. If you want to talk through your specific situation, the link to schedule a call is in the description. And if you haven't subscribed to Vested yet, my weekly newsletter for Bay Area tech professionals, the link for that is down there too. I'll see you next week.